Good evening. Welcome. Thank you all for being here tonight, for taking time from your busy lives to sit together as a community, to listen, to feel, to care. Tonight is not an easy topic, but it's an important one. We are not here to listen to a story of pain and courage and of Jewish strength. We are here to show our president that when one Jewish family goes through darkness, the entire Jewish people is standing with them. I want to begin by thanking the people who made this evening possible. Thank you to our generous sponsors, Ari and Esther Fishman, to Randy Grossman, to Mark and Pam Kalani, to Ed and Susan Biederman, to Sidel Rubel, to Heath Rubel, and to Mark and Stacy Gandel. Thank you to all of those of you who got the VIP seats and for stepping forward so we can bring this program to all of you. Your support is the reason this can happen. A big thank you to Debbie Schwartz for the beautiful dessert and setting up the reception. Thank you to all of the ushers and to Mushta and to Zalman for organizing all of the tech and logistics behind the scenes, making sure tonight runs smoothly. And thank you very much to a few additional individuals sitting in this room, our end-of-year matching donors who enabled our 36-hour campaign starting tomorrow morning. For 36 hours, every donation you give will be doubled. And it's your partnership that allows us to bring inspiration, to bring strong Jewish voices, and to give every Jew the opportunity to connect and grow. So thank you to Ralph and Stacy Zaga, to Robin and Ben London, to Esther and Ari Fishman, to Rebecca and Jonathan Carlson, to Randy Grossman, and to Jerry Klein. For those of you who are techies, that are techie, you can scan the QR code on the cards on your seat. And for those of you who are not, you can talk to Karina in the lobby today or tomorrow. And of course, every dollar that you give will be doubled, so double the mitzvah. Secondly, next Sunday starts much anticipated Hanukkah. We'll be gathering for our grand Hanukkah event at the Sportsplex in Coral Springs from 2 to 5 p.m. There will be many different rides, activities, vendors, a BMX show, food for purchase, a gift drop, lots of dignitaries that'll be there. So come out, bring your family, bring your friends, and make sure we celebrate Hanukkah in a big way. We also have menorahs and candles in the lobby. So anybody that needs, please take one. And more importantly, if you have a friend or neighbor or coworker that needs a menorah, please make sure to take a menorah or candles so we can make sure that every home in Hanukkah, every home is lit this year on Hanukkah. Additionally, on Wednesday at 6 p.m. after our Hebrew School workshop, we're going to be having a menorah lighting outside, latkes, gifts for the kids, and a watch party for the parade that's going to pass. Through. So, lastly, before we have the privilege of hearing from our guests, we'd like to take a moment with the combined energy of all of us sitting here in this room to say a heartfelt prayer for the safety and security of all the Jews in Israel, and especially the brave Chayalim, for their protection, for their safety, for their healing, and of course for the return of Ron and February. So to lead us in this chapter of Tehillim, I'd like to ask Dr. Mark Dahl to recite the chapter of Psalm 121 in Hebrew, and Ren to recite it in English. Thank you again for being here. Please rise as we recite the Tehillim.
Shir Lama'alot Esa Einai El Hacharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri Me'im Adonai. Osei Shemayim Ba'aretz. Al Yitain Lamot Raglecha Al Yanum Shomrecha. Hine Lo Yanum Velo Yishan, Shomer Yisrael. Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai Tzilcha, Al Yad Yeminecha. Yoma Hashemesh Lo Yachecha, Vayareach Balayla. Adonai Yishmarcha Mikal Ra. Yishmor et Nafshecha. Adonai Yishmar Seitecha Uvoecha Me'ata V'Adolam.
A song of ascent. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help will come from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot falter, your guardian does not slumber. Indeed, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian, the Lord is your protective shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. He will guard your soul. The Lord will guard your going and your coming from now and for all time.
You may be seated. Please turn off your phone. Short while ago, this whole stretch of Herzliya was teeming with people, screaming with joy, singing Hatikva, carrying Israeli flags. It was really the first time that we've seen people visibly excited and smiling in a long time, and that is because we got to see firsthand, as you're about to see in the video, Maya and Itai returning home to safety here in Herzliya. After spending a few days in the hospital, the brother and sister duo were taken hostage from the Nova Festival. They were then released separately, but reunite in the most emotional way. With Maya suffering a leg injury, she did have to undergo surgery. But tonight, people were waiting for hours and hours to be able to usher them home, to celebrate their arrival. They even splashed the confetti. There were balloons. There were people singing. There were people rejoicing. People of all ages here, just to give them a warm welcome as they are finally able to be where they want to be more than anywhere, which is home with their families.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've all seen the videos from that day in Nova. Every one of us saw those horrific videos that tore our hearts apart. Seeing people being torn, being taken by evil, ruthless terrorists. We've all seen the extremely powerful videos of families being reunited, of hostages that spent way too long in Gaza reuniting with their families. But the time in between, from when they were taken cruelly, ruthlessly from us on the horrific day of October 7th, until the day we were blessed to be reunited with our families once again, is the honor and the privilege we have tonight to welcome not one but two of the hostages, Itai and Mai Regev, and their father Ilan, who come all the way from Israel just to be with us tonight. Ilan, Itai, it's truly an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be able to host you here tonight. Because tonight is not just going to be a night on the screen. Until now, for all of us, myself included, the experience of what you've done has been nothing more than videos you've seen, stories we've heard third hand. Even though I personally had the ability to travel to Nova site and to be there with some of the men in our community, but it's been a story on our screens. And tonight, the story is no longer on the screen. Tonight, the story is sitting right here with us, live and in flesh. And tonight is not just a regular night. Tonight is a small part of Jewish history. Because tonight we have the honor of welcoming you beautiful people into our community to be with us. You should know that for the last 2 years we've been praying for you. We've been saying your name in Tehillim, saying your name by the Torah readings. We've cried for you. We've worried for you. We've prayed to God for you. And to see you both here in person, breathing, talking, and sitting amongst us is truly a very special experience for us. So first of all, on behalf of the entire community, thank you for being here. Truly, Bemet, Toda. Yes, Toda, that you're here. Let's start from the beginning. If you don't mind, if we'll start with you. If you tell us what life was like before October 7th. I know you were traveling. What was life for you as siblings? Tell us what life was in Herculia. Rakasha.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming. We are really excited to be here. We're really excited to share our story with you. And thank you all for coming to listen to our story. And of course, thank you for having us here. So before October 7th, I can say that we were just like any other family, very normal kids. I just finished serving the army. I was 21 at the time, Itai was 18, and Itai just finished high school. We have a younger brother, his name is Guy, he was 14 at the time. I worked as a waitress, saved money. My dream was to travel the world. I already had a ticket to South America. And like I said, I was supposed to join the army, so we had a lot of time at home together, which we didn't have before because I was in the army and I was in high school. And in that time, we got to be together a lot more than we had before. So we became closer. You know, we never always were such a good friends. You know, siblings as parents as families. You know, siblings always fight, but we had a time to get closer, and also we had a trip to Mexico, so we were a lot of time together, and we became really good friends. So, and that's why we decided to go to the Nova Festival together. It was the first time we ever go out together with friends. It was the first time that we went to a party together as siblings. So yeah, life was very good. We lived the dream. We just wanted to fulfill all our dreams.
Beautiful. So take us to the morning of October 7th. You just come back from overseas. You come to the Nova Festival. And what happened?
So we arrived to the Nova Festival. We met there with 11 more friends. And at 6:29, as you know, the DJ shut the music off, and he tells us that there are red alerts and that the party's over and we all need to go home. you have to understand that the Nova was supposed to be for at least 6 more hours, so we had a lot more time to party. And it's not the first time there are red alerts in Israel, so we didn't thought it was such a big deal. We thought that soon it will be finished, and then we can keep on partying. And after a couple minutes, they told us that it's a lot more serious and party's over and that we need to go. Of course, we got a lot of phone calls from our parents. My father called me. He knew that we are in a festival, but he didn't know where. So he asked me to send my location, and I sent it to him. And he tells me that we are really close to the Gaza border. And again, I told him, okay, so what? There's a lot of parties here. People live here. People root here. It's not very dangerous. And then some police officers, they told us that there are terrorists in Israel. And again, we didn't thought it was such a big deal because it's not the first time something like this happens in Israel, but we didn't know how big it was. And at some point, they started telling us that there are a lot of the people from the party that got killed, got murdered by those terrorists. We need to start running, leave our cars, and start running by legs because everyone that were in the car and drove on the road, it was the death road, got killed, got murdered, got kidnapped. So we started running. At that point, it was only Itai, Omer Shem Tov, a really good friend of mine, and me. It was the three of us. We ran for about an hour and a half. That we hear gunshots everywhere, a lot of machine guns. We see missiles flying, bombing explosions, and we ran and we run and we see people that run with us that fall because they got hit, and it was a complete chaos. And my father keeps calling me, and I didn't want to answer the phone because I didn't want him to hear everything that happened there because I knew that he will freak out and immediately come trying to save us, and I didn't want him to come because it was very dangerous. And after an hour and a half, we get a phone call from a guy named Ori Danino. Ori Danino was a friend of a friend. He came with us to a party. Where we didn't met him before. We met him only at the same day of the party, and he was already outside of the party area. He managed to escape, but he heard that we are still trying to escape and get home. And he told us that he knows how to where we need to go, so he comes to pick us. And after a minute or two, he really comes, and we get on his car. And I remember that at that point, we already saw a lot of bodies everywhere, explosions, and cars crushed everywhere. And I remember looking at Itai, and I tell him that I think it's time for us to call Dad. I think something inside me felt that it might be the last time we could ever talk to him again, so it's very important. So I tried to call him, but it didn't dial. And then I tried again, and the minute he answered the phone, we saw a big truck blocking the road. We didn't know what it was before, but then we saw like 9 terrorists came off of it and started shooting like crazy. And my father heard everything. I think you heard it on the video that you saw. It was like 37 seconds that he hears us screaming, begging for our lives. He hears the terrorists talking in Arabic. And I tell him there that we got shot and they are coming to kill us and that I love him and that we can escape. I'm basically saying goodbye. I feel like it's the last time I could ever talk to him again. And then when they came, they arrived to our cars. Itai got shot in both of his legs, and I got shot also in both of my legs. And that was the first time that we really saw them face to face. At that time, we were sure that they are going to kill us or torture us. We didn't thought that they were going to kidnap us. We just thought that they are just going to kill us.
No. So, you get the phone call, and you all heard part of that phone call, heard the whole thing. It's very powerful. What's it like? You get the phone call, you hear your kids being shot, you're begging for their lives. What were you thinking at that moment? He'll speak in Hebrew, and Maya will translate.
באותה באותם רגעים, אחרי שהשיחה נותקה, הדבר הראשון שהיה לי בראש זה שאני הולך לקבור שני ילדים.
The first thing that he thought about that he's going to bury 2 kids.
זה דבר שבכלל אי אפשר להסביר אותו, שאתה אחרי שיחה כזאת, מה עובר לך בראש, זה דבר שהוא בלתי נתפס.
That you can't even imagine what's going through his mind after you hear that conversation with your kids. You don't know.
באמת הדבר הראשון שאני עושה כשהשיחה מתנתקת, אני לוקח את הנשק ואני נוסע לכיוון.
The first thing he does is to grab his gun, grab the key, start the car, and start driving to the location that I sent him like an hour before.
In case you can't tell, Elon is Israeli.
אני מגיע ממש כמעט 2 דקות לפני הנקודה שהפכה לי מהנקודת ציון, ועוצרים אותי שם, המשטרה עוצרת אותי במחסום.
He almost arrived to the location that I sent him, and then he sees a police car, and they blocked the road. They didn't let him go further because it was very dangerous.
ואני מצליח לעבור את המניידת משטרה, והשוטרים שהיו אמורים להיות בניידת היו חוץ לניידת והם קפצו עליי, ופה התחיל ריב, ואני רב עם השוטרים שיתנו לי להיכנס, כי יש לי 2 ילדים שהמצב שלהם לפי דעתי ממש ממש לא טוב, ואני חייב להגיע להם.
And at some point he managed to go through the police car, and then the police officer jumped on him, started to fight with him, telling him that he can't go inside because it's very dangerous. And then they started to a fight between them. My father tells him that he has 2 kids inside, that he's sure that we are dead, and he needs to go grab us, take us, try to save us. And they fight for a couple minutes.
בשלב מסוים מצטרפים עוד אזרחים שהיו שם שלא נתנו להם להיכנס, שגם שמעו על הילדים שלהם ומשפחה שלהם שנמצאים שם, ובאו, עזרו להם, לקחו אותי הצידה וישבתי שם. ואחרי משהו כמו, הזמן שם מאבד את המשמעות, אתה פשוט, אין זמנים, ואני מחליט שאני נוסע לבית החולים סורוקה.
At some point, he understood that he can't go inside. There was also a lot of more Israelis there, a lot of parents that tried to get inside for their kids, and they didn't let anyone in. And at some point, he started hearing that there are a lot of people from the party dead or wounded that arrived to Soroka Hospital, which was close to Re'im.
אני מגיע לסורוקה, לבית החולים סורוקה, ושם אני נותן להם, מראה להם תמונות של הילדים, אני מראה להם את הסימנים, קעקועים, שואל אותם הכל, רוצה לדעת מה קורה. הם חוזרים אליי ואומרים לי שאין להם מידע כזה, והילדים לא נמצאים.
So we arrived to Soroka, and he shows them, the doctors, the nurses, our pictures of us, what we were that day, our tattoos, anything that could help them. And then identify us, and they come back to him and they tell him that we're not there. So he drives back again to try to get inside to the location that I sent him.
ויוצא משם באמת, ואני ממשיך, אני מנסה לראות איך אני מצליח להיכנס לבפנים. שתבינו, השעה הייתה שעת צהריים, ואני מנסה להיכנס בכל דרך, אני לא מצליח, סגרו כבר את כל הכבישים בצורה מאוד הרמטית, מגיע הלילה, ואני כבר מגיע עוד פעם לסורוקה. כי כל הזמן אני שומע על עוד מתים ועוד פצועים שנוספים באותו יום.
And he tried to get inside again and again. They didn't let him. They blocked all the roads, and at some point he just stayed back and forth from Re'im to Soroka to try to find out where we were, and of course we didn't answer the phone.
בשעה 11:30 בלילה, מירית שולחת לי סרטון ומתקשרת אליי במקביל, ובסרטון אנחנו רואים, אני רואה את איתי שהוא נחטף, הוא שוכב בטנדר מאחור, ורואים שהוא מזיז את הראש.
And at around midnight, he gets a phone call from our mother, Mirit, and she sent him a video. It was the video that you saw of Itai and Omer tied up in the back of Hamas truck. And in the video, you can see that Itai is there moving his head.
אתם צריכים להבין, אני משעות הבוקר עד 11:30 בלילה, אני במחשבה שהילדים שלי מתים. באותם רגעים שאני רואה את איתי מזיז את הראש, זה רגע שאני יכול להגיד, נשמע אבסורד, אבל עלה לי חיוך על השפתיים. אני אמרתי תודה לאל, הילד שלי חי, ואני יודע שהוא הולך למקום הכי גרוע שיכול להיות. אין יותר גיהנום מאיפה שהוא הולך, אבל אני אמרתי תודה לך, בורא עולם, הסתכלתי לשמיים, אני יודע שהוא חי, ועל מה ידך אגב לא ידענו כלום. ואמרתי מפה מתחילה המלחמה האמיתית שלי, מה עושים?
So he sees that Itai is moving, and the first thing that he does is he's smiling, because until that time he thought that both of us are dead, and he sees his son. Yes, he was tied up, he was held by Hamas, fight with monsters, but he was alive, and he felt, and he was so happy to see that he's alive. Of course, not happy to see that he's held by Hamas, but he was happy to see his son is alive, and he told himself that from now on, the only thing that's on my mind, the only thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to fight for my kids. I'm going to bring them home no matter how long it takes. I'm going to fight for them. I'm going to meet with every person that I can. And in that time, they still didn't know anything about me for some weeks, actually. But he had a feeling that if Itai is alive and I was with him, that maybe somehow I also survived it. And he felt like from now on, all he's going to do is going to everywhere, meet with every person. And one thing that he wants to do, the only thing that's on his mind is to bring us back home.
אני חייב להגיד באמת, הרגע הזה שראיתי שאיתי זז, חי, אני אמרתי, לא עלה לי אפילו לשנייה למה זה קורה לי. זה לא נאמר, הדבר הראשון שנאמר זה מה אני הולך לעשות. וקודם כל אמרתי תודה שהוא חי. הסתכלתי פה באמת על הצור, בדרך חיובית על הדברים, וזה מה שהיה פשוט באותם רגעים. מטרה, ולשם אתה הולך.
And when he saw Itai, he didn't ask, why did it happen to me? He asked himself, okay, what am I going to do now? This is the situation, this is what I have. What am I going to do with it now? How am I going to fix it? And of course, he looked up and he said, thank God my son is alive. It's a gift, and now I have this horrible situation. I'm going to ask, why did it happen to me? I'm going to take it, I'm going to try to understand, how am I supposed to act now? What am I supposed to do? What do I need to do in order for them to be back home alive?
Beautiful. So, Itai, so your father saw the video of you tied up in the back of the pickup truck. He was happy. At least he knew you were alive. I'm going to guess you weren't happy. So what was going through your mind as you were in the back of the pickup truck being driven into Gaza?
I also talk in Hebrew, in my translate. כשאני הייתי בטנדר מאחורה, אני לא חשבתי בכלל על דבר כזה שנקרא חטופים. הייתי מאוד מאוד חסר תקוות באותם רגעים.
When he was in the back of Hamas truck, he didn't even thought about something called hostages. He was very hopeless. He thought that they're just going to torture us and kill us.
ואני יכול להגיד שלפני שאנחנו נוסעים לעזה, אז מתי שמוציאים אותם עם הרכבים, אחד מהרכבים תפס אותי מהחולצה והשכיב אותי על הכביש.
Before they took us to Gaza, before they put them on Hamas trucks, one of the terrorists grabbed him by his shirt while they pulled us out of the car, and he laid him on the road face down.
והקנה של הנשק שלו, הוא שם לי אותו בתוך הראש, והדברים היחידים שאני חושב עליהם זה המשפחה שלי, כאילו, כאילו עוד מעט הוא הולך לחוץ על ההדק.
And one terrorist stood on his back while Itai was seriously bleeding. He saw a pattern of blood. He saw me sitting in front of him, also injured, knowing that he can't do anything right now to help me. And the terrorist stood on his back with the machine gun pointed to his head, really sticking to his head. And the one thing that he just thought about us, his family, about me, about our father, our mother, our younger brother Guy, and he just waited for him to pull the trigger.
ואז אחרי בערך דקה, שבמכן יש הנשק על הראש, אני מתחיל לשיר שיר המעלות. ואני מתחיל לשיר עד אותה נקודה שאני זוכר, ולא זכרתי הכל. וברגע שאני מפסיק, הוא מרים את הקנה של הנשק, ופה הרגשתי באמת חיבור ראשוני עם הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And after a minute, he started singing Shir HaMa'alot, and when he finished, he felt that the machine gun is lifted, and he felt like it wasn't the terrorist that pulled the gun up, like it was God hearing him, hearing his prayers, hearing him, telling him, I'm here with you, I'm here keeping you safe, it's not your time to go yet. He felt like it was God listening to him, telling him again, it's not your time to go yet, and it was his first time on October 7th that he felt his connection with God, first in many times through all the period of time in captivity, and he felt like it was very, very strong moment, felt like God is listening to his prayers.
ושנייה אחרי שזה קרה, הם בעצם כפרו לנו את הידיים, העלו אותנו לטנדר, ואז אנחנו מתחילים לנסוע לעזה. אבל בכל הסיטואציה הזאת, אז הסימן הקטן הזה, זה מה שהשאיר אותי איכשהו טיפה עם תקווה, שאני חי, אני בסדר, ואני אולי אצא מזה, אבל כשאתה בדרך לעזה, אין יותר מדי תקוות, במיוחד שאתה נמצא עם מחבלים עם מפלצות.
And after that happened, they tied them up, they put them in Hamas truck, and we drove in Gaza. But he said that he didn't have much hope, but he had that small little moment that happened to him on the road a couple minutes before, that he felt like God is with him, God is with us right now. But it was a horrible moment while they screamed at us, cursed us, a little bit of physical abusing, but he felt like God is with him at those moments.
So, Maya, you were sitting in the front of the truck. The reason why they only saw a video of Omer and Ita is because Maya was sitting. So you actually saw as you're driving into Gaza. So describe what that was like. You're watching the vehicle, you're driving into Gaza, seeing people on the street. What was that like?
So just like you said, I sat in front of the truck, and at first I was very scared. I was also seriously injured, so I was in a lot of pain. And so I put my head down. I was scared to look up to see all those terrorists, to see all those Gaza people. And I hear everyone outside cheering and happy and celebrating about what they did to us on that day. And one of the terrorists sat with me in the car. He pulled my head from my hair, and he told me, look at all those people. And I saw young people, elderly people, a lot of terrorists just sitting on the street, cheering, celebrating, looking at us, smiling, see how scared we were. And they just stood there smiling and cheering and celebrating what they did.
That's tough. See that celebration from what officially civilians that are celebrating as being brought in. So you come to Gaza, they don't take you to a hospital, even though you're both severely wounded. They bring you to, where did they take you first?
So I asked them to go to a hospital. They told me that they're going to take us, and I believed them. And I've never been to Gaza before, so I didn't know how a hospital looked like. So we arrived at some building, and then they just opened a door in the floor. And that's when I understood that we're not going to any hospital. We're going to Hamas tunnels. And we grew in Israel. We heard about Hamas. We heard about hostages that were here before us. We heard about Hamas tunnels, but I never thought, not even once in my life, that I will see Hamas people, some terrorists, face to face, talk to them, not even to mention to be inside of Hamas tunnel. So they take us down, and I remember that it was like 20 meters underground, and I asked from the terrorist if he could carry me because I couldn't walk. The bullet hit my bone and it crushed 6 centimeters of it, so my foot was just hanging on him, and so I had to hold it like this, and so I couldn't walk, obviously. So I asked him if he could carry me, if he could help me, because I really wanted to go with him. I really wanted to do what he said because I really wanted to leave. I was so scared, but I couldn't. I really couldn't walk. He got upset. He pulled his gun and he loaded it and put it to my head. And he told me that I need to walk now, and if not, he's gonna kill me. So it was very quickly, so I just remember just let my foot, let her hang, and I just jumped because I remember thinking that the only thing I wanted was to stay alive, to see my family again. That's when it was the first time I understood that life is more important than anything else. I didn't care about losing my foot. I didn't care about my pain. I just wanted to stay alive because it's more important than anything. I only thought about my family, about my father. They heard me screaming a couple minutes before. He probably thinks that I'm dead. And the only thing I wanted was to go back home and see him again, and see my mother and see my brother. I want to live. So we arrived at some room in the tunnel. We stayed there for about an hour, I think. That's where they questioned us, threatened us, showed us their guns, their knives. And at some point they saw that we are bleeding very heavily and that we really need to go to a hospital. And that's when they take us to a hospital. And
You were undercover, they hit you.
no, that was on the first day. Later, after 5 days, I was returned back to there. But on the first day in the hospital, me and Itai, we were in the car. They took Omer to somewhere else. And we sat there. I remember that we were in the parking lot of the hospital, waiting in the car for like 10 minutes. It was very hot, no water, no nothing. We were losing a lot of blood. And I remember telling to Itai that we spoke a little between us. I remember telling him that I'm not going to speak anymore. I'm going to save power because I felt like I was going to lose conscience. And I told him that I love him, that if I'm not going to make it, I'm sure that he'll be home again to meet his parents, tell them that I love them. Again, I'm saying goodbye. And he tried to do anything that he can to help me, but he couldn't do much. And after like a minute or two, after 20 minutes in the car, the door was open and they grabbed me. They pulled me out, put me in a gurney, covered me with sheets, and took me inside the
Covered
hospital.
you in sheets, like you're dead. Like a
Yes,
corpse.
yes. So I couldn't move, I couldn't make a sound, and pain was, I can't even describe the pain that I was in. And when I arrived to the room, they took the sheets off, and I saw a lot of terrorists just standing surround me. And I remember they started touching my leg, and the first thing that I asked was painkillers because it was a horrible pain. And the next thing I remember is that I just woke up in a car with a cast on my leg, wearing different clothes, and I was very dizzy. Didn't know how much time passed. I thought maybe they did a surgery or something. They put the bullet out, they cleaned, they fixed it. I don't know what they did, but I felt like they might have done something in order to save my leg. And then they just took me to an apartment. That's where I met Itai and Omer. But after they put me out of the car to do what they did, they took Itai a couple minutes later.
If they want to describe what happened when you went to the hospital?
בעצם באמת מוצאים את עצמם מהרכב, זה פתאום נתן לי תחושה של רוגע, שלוקחים אותה ובסדר, ולוקחים אותי אחרי 10 דקות בערך שוב פעם, שמים אותי על אלונקה, שים אותי עם סדין.
So after they took me out of the car to take care of my leg, he felt like a little relief because he also thought like we are saying goodbye at that point. We lost a lot of blood, and after a couple minutes, they took him out of the car. Also the same thing, put him on a gurney, covered him with sheets, and then took him inside to the hospital.
ואני נכנס לבית חולים, הם מורידים לי את הסדין, ואני שם לב שאני בחדר עם 9 מחבלים ועם רופא אחד מפוחד.
And then he sees that there are 9 terrorists in the room and one scared doctor standing in the middle.
ומה שקורה בחדר, אני נמצא עם 9 מחבלים שעושים לי סימנים שלא משאירים לי יותר מדי תקוות. הם מתקרבים אליי לפנים, הם עושים הכל כדי לגרום לי לחשוב שאני לא אחיה אחרי שאני אצא מהחדר.
And all the terrorists threatened him, showed him their guns, their knives, not leaving him a lot of hope. He thought that they are going to kill him or torture him in that room, and they just tried to scare him and yell at him a lot.
ובערך אחרי 10 דקות בחדר הזה, 10 דקות מאוד 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 מפחידות, אחד המחבלים הולך לאחד המדפים, לוקח מלקחיים ומביא את זה לדוקטור.
After 10 minutes that they scared him and yelled at him, one of the terrorists grabbed the tweezers and he gives it to the doctor.
עכשיו, יש לי כדור שתקוע ברגל ימין, עדיין לא יצא משם, לא קיבלתי שום משככי כאבים, וברגע שהוא מביא לדוקטור את המלקחיים, כבר הבנתי לאן זה הולך להגיע. הכנתי את עצמי, אבל עדיין לא הייתי מוכן לזה באמת.
And Isai had a bullet that was stuck on his right leg, like half in, half out, and he understood that they're just going to put it out. They didn't give him any painkillers, nothing. So he prepared himself that it's gonna hurt like crazy.
ודוקטור מתקרב אליי למלקחיים, מכניס את המלקחיים לתוך הרגל. אני יכול להגיד לכם שלפני זה, אחד המחבלים בא לי ואמר לי שאם אני מוציא קול מהפה, הוא לוחץ על ההדק ויורה לי בראש. והבנתי שאני גם לא יכול לדבר.
And one of the terrorists came up to him, showed him his gun again, and he told him that if he's gonna make even the smallest sound, he's gonna kill him on the spot, so he had to be quiet. And I remind you, they didn't give him any painkillers, nothing. He just had to lay there quietly and not make a sound while the doctor is pulling out his bullet only with the tweezers.
וזה היה הדבר הכי כואב שהיה לי בחיים, זה כאבים שבן אדם לא מסוגל לעבור. הייתי מאוד 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 קרוב להתעלפות.
He was in a lot of pain. He was close to faint several times, but he didn't make a sound because again, life is more important than anything. Do anything in order to survive and stay alive.
ובאמת אחרי חצי שעה, לפי דעתי הכי קשה שהייתה לי בחיים, מכנסים אותי שוב פעם בסדים, מוציאים אותי מהחדר, וכמובן אני לא משמיע קול, אסור לי להשמיע קול, ואני שם לב שאחרי דקה שאנחנו יוצאים מהחדר, הם מתחילים להתפלל, ואז הבנתי שמתפללים על גופה, ואסור לי גם לזוז ואסור לי לנשום. ואנחנו יוצאים מהבית חולים, הם מורידים לי את הסדין, אני נכנס לאוטו, אנחנו נוסעים כמה דקות, שאנחנו מגיעים לדירה, ושם אני רואה את עומר.
So after 30 minutes that they tried to pull the bullet out, they didn't even stitch him. He was left with a hole like this in the leg, which took 2 months to close by itself. And after they finished, they just put bandage on his leg and again put the sheet over his head, covered him, and got outside of the room. And then he understood that he's not only not allowed to breathe or not only not allowed to talk or move, he can't also breathe because they start praying over him like he's a dead body. So people around there won't know that it's an Israeli person here, a hostage, so they won't do anything to him. So he had to remain completely silent. He was in a lot of pain. He couldn't move, he couldn't breathe. And after that, they just put him in a car and drove him to an apartment. That's where he met Omer. And I arrived like 30 minutes later, something like this, to the same place.
So the 3 of you are together. Like you, Isai and Omer together. And then what happened? Why did they decide to go back to the hospital and capture you? How did that happen?
So after 5 days, on October 7th, they put me in a room with Isai and Omer.
They didn't do anything to your foot on October 7th. Just the bandage, nothing else.
Yeah, I'll get to it. And they put me in a room with Isai and Omer, and after a minute, they just decided that they don't want us to be together, so they took me to a different room, one floor above them. And after a couple of days, some doctor came in the room and for me to change my cast, my bandage. And when he opened it, I saw that they didn't do anything. They just cleaned the blood. They didn't even took the bullet out. It was still in the same condition. And after 5 days, they tell me that we really need to go to a hospital because I need to do surgery. And otherwise, I'm going to lose my leg and I'm going to have serious infections. I already had very high fever at that point. And that's when they decided that I need to go to a hospital.
They take you to the hospital. This guy described the situation, how you got to the hospital, and then in the hospital you met another Israeli hostage. Tell us about that.
So they dressed me as an Arab woman, completely with hijab, with niqab. Only my eyes were out. They gave me a different name, a different age. They told me that I can't speak at all to no one. I had to act it like every time someone approached me, I had to act it like I'm fainting, so they won't be able to talk to me. And when I arrived to the hospital, I saw that there is another male person in the room, and I didn't know if he was an Arab man or an Israeli man. So I was very quiet. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want that he will do something to me. And after a couple minutes, I heard him talk in English with an Israeli accent. So I said, okay, he's gonna be my friend. He's one of us. And I talked to him. His name was Guy Yud, Zichrono Livracha. Guy was also from the Nova Festival. He was shot multiple times. He tried to escape with his friends in a car, and they shot his car. All his friends died, and he managed to escape. Talked to his father, talked to the police, and after a couple hours, they caught him again. He was injured on his left hand, and they told him to turn around. They shot him in the back a couple times. They saw that he didn't die, so they decided that they are kidnapping him. So they took him, and he was for a whole week he was in a hospital alone until the day I arrived. And he told me about everything that happened to him. I told him everything that happened to me. He told me about his family. I told him about mine. I told him that I have a younger brother named Guy, and he has a younger sister named Maya. And we talked about what we're gonna do when we'll be home again. I told him that he's gonna come to Kiddush, to Shabbat dinner at my place, and he tells me that I'm gonna come to his father. He has a homeless place in Tel Aviv. So we talked about everything that we were gonna do. And after a day and a half, not very long time, he died right next to me because they didn't treat him at all. They didn't give him the right medical treatment that he was supposed to be receiving. And after that happened, it was I decided that I'm not staying alive only for myself. I'm staying alive and I'm surviving also for Guy and for Guy's family because they deserve to know what happened to him. And I was the only one that knew anything about his condition, anything about everything that happened to him. And from that, it was another something for me to stay alive for.
You had a dream. Want to share the dream that you had?
Yeah. And after a couple of days, after Guy died, I stayed there alone for the whole time. They put me in surgery, and I stayed there for 45 days. And one night, I woke up, I think like it was 2 weeks after, 2 weeks that I know nothing about Itai and Omer, and I don't know anything about their condition. I know that Itai is seriously injured, and Omer is a really good friend of mine. I'm really worried about the two of them. I hear bombing all the time, and I don't know if their building was bombed, if they're still alive, if they're receiving any food, water. So I was very worried, and I had a dream about Itai, and I woke up hysterically crying. And I remember that he told me he didn't understand, the terrorist didn't understand why I'm crying, and I couldn't breathe, I couldn't even talk. I just told him that I need to talk to Itai, I need to know what's going on with Itai, if he's okay. I told him that he can bring them over here to the hospital, take me back to them. I really insisted on talking to Itai, to Omer, and he really wanted me to be quiet because I was making a lot of noise. So he told me that he's going to try to do something about it. And after a few hours, he came back with a note from Itai and Omer that they wrote for me, telling me about their condition and what's going on with them. And from that time, we passed like 3-4 notes. I didn't let him, the terrorist, any choice. I just wrote very fast back on the note and gave it to him and told him, give this to Itai and Omer. And that's how we passed in those 2 months, 3-4 notes. And I can tell you that it was another something that I waited for. I really wanted to know what's going on with them, and I was very worried. As a big sister, I can't do anything to help my brother. And I know that he came with me to this party, and I can't be next to him. I can't tell him that everything will be okay. And all I wanted to know is how is he, and if he's okay, and if he needs a hug, and if they are talking, and if they are managed to get along together, and if they're eating. So those notes they were everything to me. Really, I would go to sleep at night holding them in my hand in case something will happen. I didn't want them to get lost. And in one of the notes, I wrote me there that the only dream that he has is to be back home and be a whole family again, because we left our younger brother, Guy, alone with both of our parents. They're probably fighting for us right now, trying to do anything that they can in order to bring us back home. And his only dream is to sit again together as a family, the 5 of us, to hug again, to just be a whole family again, because the 2 of us were so far away from them, not sure if we're going to make it out alive. And this was the only thing we talked about.
Itai, for you, when you got that first note from Maya, what was that like?
וואו, זה היה מטורף לשמוע ממאיה פתאום אחרי 3 שבועות נראה לי, בערך 3 שבועות, אחרי זה היה מטורף לשמוע ממאיה, כי אני ועומר יושבים שם ואין לנו מושג מה קורה איתה, כאילו אנחנו נמצאים פה, אנחנו יודעים מה קורה, אנחנו מקבלים אוכל, יש פה פיצוצים, אבל אין לנו מושג מה קורה עם מאיה.
After 3 weeks that they got the first note from me, they didn't know anything about me until that time, and they saw my leg, they saw how awful it looked, and they didn't know anything about me. So when they received the note, it was amazing to him to finally know a little bit about what's going on with me, what's happening with me. So it was a little relief.
כאילו אני יכול להגיד שגם כאילו טיפה אחרי כאילו לפעמים הייתי נופל טיפה למחשבות, טיפה לכל מיני דברים שאני לא אמור ליפול אליהם, ישר הייתי לוקח את הפתק של מאיה, קורא שהייתה אומרת לי שהכל בסדר, שאנחנו נחזור להיות משפחה ואנחנו נעבור את זה וצריך להיות עוד טיפה חזקים, אז זה כאילו זה היה נותן לי בוסט לעוד 3 ימים.
Every time he felt down and he was a little sad or a little worried, he would take the note again and read all over again, like over and over and over the note what I wrote to him. And we only wrote optimistic things in there. We never talked about why it happened to us, what's going on, when are we going home. We just talked about everything's going to be okay, don't worry. Remind yourself that you're strong. Remind yourself that we're going to be home with the family again. So we gave him a lot of strength and a lot of power. And
Aside from the notes, you also got the juice, right? Grape juice?
קיבלתי מיץ ענבים, אבל בדיעבד הבנתי רק אחרי שחזרתי, שמאיה שלחה לי את המיץ ענבים.
And I can tell you that in the hospital, in the first week, every time they brought me food, they brought me a bottle of grape juice. And we have a joke in the family that Itai is only drinking grape juice. We can sit at a bar and Itai was going to order grape juice. So when they brought me this, the first thing I told him that they have to give 1 bottle to Itai because I know how much he loves it. And he got it, but only when he returned. When we returned home, we got to talk about it, and he told me that he got a grape juice, and I told him, "Hey, so
he took it as a sign from my Jewish.
Yeah.
אני יכול להגיד שלפני שקיבלתי את המיץ הענבים הזה, אני ועומר היינו מדברים המון על כמה אנחנו מתגעגעים לעשות קידוש, וכמה מגיעים לאוכל של אמא. ובסופו של דבר קידוש זה הרגע המשפחתי שלך ביום הזה בשבוע.
And before he got the grape juice, the one thing he and Omer always kept on talking about was Shabbat dinner and how much they miss doing the kiddush and Shabbat dinner with the family, sitting all the family around the table together, eating warm food that our mother made, and they just kept talking about how much they miss it because you have one day in a week that you see all the family together, and it was the thing that they missed the most while they were there.
ובאמת אחרי שבועיים וחצי, 3 שבועות שאנחנו לא מפסיקים לדבר על זה, בשבוע שעבר נכנס יום אחד עם מיץ ענבים, וכאילו אני ועומר מסתכלים אחד על השני, ויש משפט שאומר נסתרות דרכי השם, ואת המיץ ענבים הזה באמת הרגשנו שקיבלנו מתנה מאלוהים, שהוא שמע אותנו מדברים על קידוש, אומר קחו, יש לכם מיץ ענבים, תעשו קידוש.
And after really 2 weeks that they kept on talking about Shabbat dinners, one day their captive brought them the food, and he brought them also the grape juice. They didn't know that it was for me, but they looked at each other and they said, God's ways are mysterious. We just talked about how much we miss doing Kiddush and Shabbat dinners, and God is listening to our prayers. He hears us. He knows that how much we need it. So they felt like, again, a connection with God, that He's here. He's hearing their prayers. He's here keeping them safe.
המיץ ענבים הזה היינו שופכים אותו לכוס, היינו לוקחים שלוק קטן ומחזירים את כל הכוס לתוך הבקבוק כדי שיהיה לנו שישי הבא. היינו לוקחים את המלח, שקית בייגל, היינו לוקחים את המלח ועושים המוצי, וזה אחד הדברים שבאיזשהו מקום קירבו אותנו הביתה, קירבו אותנו לשולחן המשפחתי הזה, ובאמת קיווינו ואמרנו כל שישי, בעזרת השם, זה השישי האחרון שלנו פה, ושישי הבא אנחנו עם כל המשפחה שלנו. וזה באמת אחד הסימנים מהקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא איתנו, אני איתכם, אז כאילו באיזשהו מקום זה גרם לנו גם פחות לפחד.
And what they did was every Friday, every Shabbat dinner, they would take the bottle of grape juice, they would pour it into a glass, say the blessing, and they had some pretzels, and in the end of the bag it was a little salt, so they used it for doing the motzi. And every Shabbat dinner they prayed, and they pulled it, they pour it to a glass, and then they pour it back into the bottle, so it lasts for them. And it really lasted. It stayed with Omer for another 8 months after that was released. And he did every Friday, did Shabbat dinner and Kiddush with it. And Itai says that it was one thing that made them feel a lot closer home, a lot closer to God, because they felt like it's something, even there when you're in those monsters, when you're in hell, when you're in a place where they hate you only because you're Jewish, you can do Shabbat, you can do Kiddush, you can bless, you have grape juice, you can do the motzi, and they felt like it was a day for them that it meant more than anything in the world. They felt a lot closer to God than they ever were. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Hearing how you make Kiddush, calling your Shabbat dinner, which salt of the pretzel packing, and the wine, the grape juice you don't drink, but that was amazing to hear that, to have that connection in the tunnel, which was amazing. So Elon, while they're in Gaza, what did you do? I know the story was the killing of Itai, and know that you were doing what you could. Matal says.
אחד הדברים, ברגע שהבנתי כבר את הדברים בהתנהלות, אמרתי שאני רוצה להתחיל להשפיע בעולם ולהתחיל ליצור את הצעקה של הילדים בעולם, וזה מהיום הראשון עלינו לתקשורת ובכל מקום אפשרי, לי היה חשוב שכולם ישמעו מה אני חווה ולשמוע את הצעקה של הילדים.
And since day one, since October 7, they knew from day one, my father and my mother, that they're going to do anything that they can. So they talked in every radio station, every channel in Israel and abroad. My father flew to Geneva to meet with the head of the Red Cross. He to Italy to talk to the Prime Minister, and my mother, she was in the U.S., everywhere in the world. They just traveled. They just wanted people to hear what he's hearing every day. He had a recording, and everywhere he goes, everywhere he went to, he let people listen to what we've been through on those horrible minutes and what we are still going through those days.
מעבר לנסיעות לצעוק בעולם, בארץ אנחנו פשוט, נירית הייתה בקבר של הרבי, הייתה עושה הפרשות חלה, כמעט כל יום היו באים עם מקובלים ועושים הפרשות חלה. באחד המקרים הכנסנו גם, ממש יומיים אחרי של השביעי, הכנסנו ספר תורה אלינו הביתה. חבר נתן לנו ספר תורה שהיה אצלנו בבית עד היום.
After a few days, after October 7, a friend of the family brought us Sefer Torah. Sefer Torah, so they put it inside the house, and it was in our house in Itai's room until the day we got home. And my mother, she was in the Rabbi Milubavitch grave in New York, and they did everything that they could. And I can tell you that if you'd asked me before, I would, and you told me that my father is going to interview everywhere, I'm going to talk to people everywhere and meet with people from the Knesset, from our government, I would probably laugh to your face and tell you that there's no way, because my father is never going to be on TV and not going to travel everywhere. But when you're at the lowest place, the only thing you have in mind is to bring back your kids from this hell. You're doing everything. You don't care about anything, you just do what you have to do.
כמו שהיא אמרה, ברגע שהילדים, אני ידעתי שאני הולך, וצריך גם להיפגש עם השטן, להיפגש בשביל להביא את הילדים.
He said that if he needed to, he would also meet with the devil in order to bring us back home. And that's what they really did. They fought like crazy. And we are here. אני חייב לספר לכם ביום ראשון, זה היה ב8 לאוקטובר, אני בקשר עם חב"ד כבר הרבה לפני. וב8 לאוקטובר הגיע אלינו הרב של חב"ד אלינו לבית שהגיע אלינו לבית. My father, before October 7, he used to have a lot of connection with Chabad in Israel. And on October 8th, the day after that happened, one rabbi came to our house to check the mezuzahs and everything. So he came to the house.
זה הגיע אלינו הביתה, בדק את המזוזות, ואז הוא אומר לי, תביא לי את התפילין של איתי. אני מביא לו את התפילין ואני זוכר שהוא פותח את התפילין של הראש לידי. הוא פותח אותם, הוא אומר לי, בוא תראה, באותיות שביעי חג היה מחוק, היה פסול באותיות שביעי חג.
And he checks the mezuzahs, and then he asks to see Itai's tefillin. And he opens the head tefillin, and he reads inside, and he tells my father, come look at this. And he showed him that on the word Shvi'it Chag, 7th Chag, they were wiped out a little bit. And what happened, it was on October 7, it was a holiday. And
והדבר הראשון שבאמת לקח אותם לגניזה, דאגתי שיהיו תפילין חדשים כמה שיותר מהר, וב10 לנובמבר, אני זוכר, אני לא יכול לשכוח את היום הולדת שלי, הבאתי את התפילין שלו. דבר ראשון שעשיתי, נסעתי לכותל עם עוד כמה חברים, והתפללנו שם להניח את התפילין פעם ראשונה, חדשים בכותל.
And the first thing he did was to send it to Bislik, and he got them back on November 10, which is my father's birthday. It was his birthday. And they drove straight to the Kotel. They put the tefillin there. The first time that anyone is putting those tefillin was on my father's birthday in the Kotel with his tight friends, with my father's friends. And they prayed for our fast and safe return home. And 2 weeks after, we returned home.
זה,
That's good that you were finally released, returning home. It's telling you you're going to be released, you're going home. What were your thoughts? Did you believe them actually since you were going home?
So since day one, I understood that I'm gonna be a hostage, and I thought about Gilad Shalit, all the other hostages that we had, and I asked them, okay, when am I going back home? How long is it gonna take? Like, bring me back and get your prisoners back. I don't know how long is it gonna take. And they kept saying maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week, maybe in 2 years. I don't know. And every time they told me. There were several times that they told me, tomorrow you're going home, and it didn't happen. They just played with my mind and wanted me to get disappointed. So I stopped believing them. And close to the first ceasefire that was, they told me that maybe there's going to be a ceasefire, but I didn't believe them. And I remember waking up, it was a Friday, and it was just quiet. I didn't hear anything, no F-16, no bombing, no nothing. So I felt like maybe something is really happening. Maybe they didn't just say it. Maybe there is a ceasefire and I'm coming back home soon. And the day after, he gets into my room, the terrorist, and he tells me, come on, get dressed, you're going home. So I was happy, but I couldn't be fully happy because I'm thinking about my brother and my good friend Omer Shem Tov that I'm leaving behind. And again, I didn't really believe him because I didn't want to get disappointed again. But he takes me and he takes me to a place where all the other hostages were before going to the Red Cross. That's where I saw a lot of people from Kibbutz Be'eri. I saw little kids. I saw elderly people. It was the first time I understood that it was not only the Noma Festival, something a lot bigger than that happened. And I remember that I couldn't believe that I just saw a 5-year-old kid here standing right in front of me. And at some point, it took them a long time before they released us. They told us that we're going to be released at 5, and it was already 8 or 9, so we didn't know what's happening. And they told me that in Israel, they don't want us. So tomorrow morning, they're going to take me back to the hospital, and I'm going to stay here for some more time. And it was very disappointing. I didn't want to be disappointed just because of this. It was something like this is going to happen. But after 1 hour, they told me that I'm really going home. So they took me to the Red Cross, but still I couldn't be fully happy because everything that happened, and I'm leaving my younger brother behind, my good friend behind. And we arrived to the Red Cross. From there, they took me to Egypt. And then from there to Israeli hands. And it was the first time someone talked to me in Hebrew. And they opened the door, and I see a lot of soldiers standing with the IDF uniform. And they're all looking at me. And it was the first time that I saw people that I really want to see. And they really want to see me. And I care about them, and they care about me. It was an amazing moment. I had this picture in my head. I will never forget that moment. And they were all so beautiful suddenly. Like, see, Israeli people, we are so beautiful. So it was nice to see some nice faces. And when I got in the ambulance, before they took me to Soroka, they told me that a family member wants to talk to me on the phone. And on October 7, when I talked to my father, I knew that the first thing that he's going to do is to drive to Re'im. So in all those 2 months, I didn't know if he's still alive or not, because I knew how dangerous it was. I thought maybe he got kidnapped, maybe he was killed, or maybe somehow somebody stopped him on the way. And when they brought me the phone on the ambulance on my way to Soroka, it was my mother on the phone. And I remember telling her that I love her so much and that I'm coming and that I missed her a lot. And then I'm asking, where is that? Is that okay? And then I hear him in the background, and then I start crying like crazy. I understand that both of my parents are alive, waiting for me, and my younger brother died. And I tell them that I'm on my way, and that I hope that Itai is going to be released soon, but I don't know what's going on with him. And I arrived to the hospital, and it was the first time that I let myself cry when I saw them. Like, I cried like a baby. It was like happy tears, and I just missed them so much. It was the only thing that was in my mind to see them again, to hug them again. I didn't want that the phone call will be the last thing that they will hear from me. And I felt like I won. I was so happy, but again, I couldn't be fully happy because I felt like I left my brother and my good friends behind. We got kidnapped together. How come we're not home together? It's not possible. But after 4 days,
So Itai, tell us when you were finally released. What was that like?
בעצם היה משתחררת, ומודיעים לנו שמה משתחררת, ואנחנו גם מאמינים כי יש הפסקת אש, פיצוצים ברקע, וזה היה אחד הרגעים כאילו שלא היה אכפת לי מכלום, מה היה השתחררה, תנו לי להישאר פה גם עוד שנה עכשיו.
So a day after I was released, they came to Itai and they told him that I'm already home, and he felt so relieved. He felt like he don't care anymore about anything. He can stay here for another year or two. At least I'm home, at least I'm safe.
ובעצם עוברים יומיים, והשווה שלנו נכנס אלינו ואומר, הוא מסתכל עלינו ועושה לי, אתה אולי תשתחרר, אולי כן, אולי לא. ואז הייתה לי שיחה עם עומר, וכאילו דיברנו על זה, אם אני אשתחרר, והיה לי מאוד מאוד קשה להגיד לו, כי אמרתי לו, אני לא יכול להשאיר אותו פה לבד, כאילו, אין מצב עבר אותו דבר, למה שאני אשתחרר ואתה לא.
After a couple of days, their captive came in the room and he asked Itai, how old are you? Itai tells him that he's 18, and he tells him that maybe he's gonna release also in that deal. And then Itai and Omer start talking between them, and Itai tells him that there is no way that he's leaving him here alone. It's not fair that he's going to be released only because he's a few years younger than Omer. And they got kidnapped together. We're going to stay together. We are brothers now. They became best friends. You have nothing to do in that place besides talk to the person that you are with.
ויום למחרת הוא בא להפריד אותי ותומר, הוא אמר שאנחנו צריכים להיפרד, יכול להיות שאנחנו עוד כמה ימים הוא יחזיר אותנו להיות ביחד, כרגע אנחנו צריכים להיפרד, הוראה מלמעלה. והוא לוקח אותי באותו יום, אנחנו עוברים דירה, ואני מגיע לדירה החדשה, ואיך שאני מגיע הוא אומר לי שאני משתחרר יום למחרת.
And a day after, the captive came to Omer and Itai, and he tells them that they need to be separated for 2 days. And after 2 days, they will be reunited again because it's an order that he was received from his commander. They have to separate them, and then they'll be reunited again. So they have, and they really believed him. And they took Itai to the other apartment. And when he arrived there, the terrorist tells him that tomorrow he's going to be released. And
עכשיו שהוא אמר לי, זאת הייתה שיחה מעולה בעצם. כאילו השאלה הראשונה שיצאה לי מהפה זה, מה עם עומר? עומר נשאר פה, עומר גם משתחרר, כאילו, לא חזרתי על השחרור שלי בכלל, זה דבר היחיד שחשבתי זה עליו.
And when he tells him this, the first thing that Itai does is to ask, what about Omer? Omer is coming home too? How come I'm living alone? It's not fair, I can't leave him behind.
ואחרי יום למחרת אני משתחרר ואני עובר לשטח שכנסו את כל החטופים, אנחנו נשארים שם כמה שעות ומשם אנחנו עוברים לצלב האדום, וכבר בצלב האדום כל החטופים שנמצאים איתי מתחילים לפקוד שהם כבר לא בידיים של חמאס, אבל אני באיזשהו מקום הייתי דרוך, לא רשיתי לעצמי להתפרק עדיין.
The day after, they take Itai to the place where all the other hostages were, and then they are moving them to the Red Cross, and he sees all the other hostages starting to be happy, to cry, to be excited to be home, but Itai couldn't let himself do it because again he was very scared to be disappointed, and he felt so sad that he's now going home and Omer is not.
ואחרי הצלב האדום אנחנו עוברים למצרים ושם אני רואה חיילים, שם באמת באיזשהו מקום ירד לי קצת האוויר, אבל עדיין לא מסכים לעצמי לפקוד עד שאני רואה אחד מבני המשפחה שלי, אני צריך לראות את אחד מבני המשפחה שלי ואז הוא פתח כל הזרם.
And then they take them from Cyprus to Egypt, and then from there to the soldiers. They were in a van, and when he saw the soldiers, he felt a little bit more excited, but he didn't let himself cry until he saw one of the member. He really wanted to see that it's really real and it's really happening.
ומהפעם הזה אנחנו נמצאים עם החיילים ואנחנו עוברים לבסיס ששם יחכה לנו בן משפחה. ואנחנו נמצאים בוואן, אנחנו מגיעים לבסיס ואני כבר רואה מאחורה, אני רואה את אמא שלי ואמא שלי צועקת לי מבחוץ, איתי, ואני כבר לא יכול לחכות רק לצאת מהמיניבוס, ואני יוצא מהמיניבוס, אני רץ לאמא שלי, ופה כל הסיפור הזה באיזשהו מקום נגמר. התחלתי לבכות כמו משוגע. זה היה רגע שאני לא יכול להסביר במילים. אחרי איזה חצי שעה אנחנו נוסעים לסורוקה לפגוש את אבא שלי, את מאיה ואת גיא. וזה, אני חושב שזה היה הרגע הכי מאושר בחיים. זאת הייתה הגשמת החלום, כמו שרשמתי בפתקים למעלה. להיות כל המשפחה ביחד, כל החמישה, זה מבחינתי החלום, ואני הגשמתי את החלום שלי.
And when they arrived in the van, they arrived to a military base where there was one family member for each hostage that was returned. And he sees through the window, he sees my mother standing there, and she's jumping and screaming, "Die." And then he comes off the van and he runs towards her and he hugs her and then he starts crying like a baby, like crazy. And there he stayed for like 30 minutes. They ate something. He just talked to my mother that whole time, and we were in the Soroka hospital waiting for him. Me, my father, and my younger brother died. And after 30 minutes, they drive to Soroka, and that's where he meets my father. He sees Guy, our younger brother, and he sees me again. We got to reunite after so much time that we didn't saw each other. We were in the same place, but we didn't saw each other. And it was the best day of our life, the best day of his life. It was like a rebirth. And he felt like he really fulfilled his dream when he wrote for me in those notes that all he wants is to be all the family back together again. And we hugged and we cried happy tears. And we were just so happy to be together again as a family. The one thing we just couldn't stop talking about in those notes. We made it happen, and it was the best day of our life. I'll never forget that day.
So really, I would love to sit here for another hour and hear so many more details on your closing messages, but time is running very, very quickly. As I want to just conclude with this, that I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talking about the freedom that you were so excited to finally get back after so long. And we are blessed to live with freedom, and we all drove her freely. We were able to drive her as we wanted. We can more or less do what we want, go to sleep in our beds, eat what we want, hug our own children whenever we want. And so the question for us tonight, after hearing this amazing story, the question for us after hearing your story is not only, wow, how did you guys survive? The question we need to take away for ourselves is, what are we doing with the freedom that we have? If these amazing heroes sitting here could hold onto their hope in a tunnel of darkness and make kiddush and pray and connect and find the inner strength that they didn't know that they had in the time of darkness, we have to ask ourselves, can I hold on to my Jewish identity when I'm not in darkness and I'm in the comfort of my daily life? Can I shine the light of Hanukkah when I'm not in darkness and I'm living in the freedom of Florida? Can I also make sure to share Hanukkah with one more person, to give one more person the chance to also light the menorah in their home? And if these amazing heroes could stay human and stay connected and love for family, can I play a little harder to use my freedom to love my family more, do a little more good, do one more mitzvah, do one more act of kindness? And I'm just going to end with this. I'm listening to you share your stories and how the terrorists tried to break your body and tried to break your spirit, standing on top of you, threatening you, scaring you. But they didn't win. They didn't win. You walk back into the light, and your light is shining as strong as ever. And this is our story. From the beginning of time, from Pharaoh in Egypt and Haman in Persia, the Inquisition and the pogroms, the story of the Greeks through Hanukkah, the Holocaust, in our generation, October 7th, the names change, the weapons change, the geography changes. But the one thing that never changes is that we keep our light shining high. And so I wanted to say this. You're not just survivors. You sitting here are the ultimate embodiment and living proof that Am Yisrael Chai. So thank you for being here. Thank you all. Give me a standing ovation to Naya, to Itai, to Eli.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing, everything that you did since October 7th till that day, and you still keep on doing. Even though you're not in Israel, you live here, you did a lot for us. Every prayer, every Shabbat candle that you lit, every Aflashat Challah, we felt everything. It meant a lot for us. And what I can say about the Jewish people, that in hard times we always reunite, we care for each other, and we really felt that in the tunnels in Gaza, and we're still feeling it till that day. And everything that you're doing here is so important, and we really appreciate you guys, and we love the Jewish people, and we are really the best people. And thank you for everything that you're doing, everything that you did, everything for us, for the hostages, for the soldiers, for Israel. Thank you so much, and we can't forget that there is still one more hostage that needs to be back home to his family, to be buried as proper in Israel. So let's not forget him. Let's keep praying for him, for his family. Be there for his family because they need us, like we needed you. So again, thank you for everything. We love you so much.
Please join us. Everyone together. Thank you again very, very much, everyone, for joining us. Those of you out here, the reception in the back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Laila Tov again, this menorah is outside of the menorah. Please do support us tomorrow. Our campaign is tomorrow to keep us doing beautiful events like this. Thank you very, very, very much to everyone for joining. Laila Tov.